Hello everyone. We shall do a fun exercise where I try to get where I try to live react to these books, where I'll read the first few sentences or page or two, and then I will decide on my next one because I need some new ideas and I need a new treadmill book because I already read Charlotte Strange's Strange Biology. So this is one that I've been putting off for quite some time now. So, Frederick Jameson, Archeologies of the Future, The Desire Called Utopia and Other Science Fictions. Called a vast treasure trove of a book. Where did I put them? Archeologies of the Future is certainly among the most stunning studies of science fiction ever produced. A vast treasure trove of a book crammed with brilliant... What is that word? Apersus? Who knows what that means? Jameson is one of the world's most eminent cultural theorists, but he is also a peerless literary critic in the classical sense of the term. Jameson's skill in connecting diverse materials and theories, the suggestiveness of many of his insights, and his passionate conviction make this an exciting book. I need some excitement. In an age of globalization characterized by the dizzying technologies of the first world and the social disintegration of the third, is the concept of utopia still meaningful? Archeologies of the Future, Jameson's most substantial work since postmodernism, or the cultural logic of late capitalism, investigates the development of this form since Thomas More and interrogates the functions of utopian thinking in a post-communist age. The relationship between utopia and science fiction is explored through the representations of otherness, alien life, and alien worlds. In a study of the works of Philip K. Dick, Ursula Le Guin, William Gibson, Brian Aldiss, Kim Stanley Robinson, and more, Jameson's essential essays, including The Desire Called Utopia, conclude with an examination of the opposing positions on utopia and an assessment of its political value today. So that's the first one. This will take me much longer than one treadmill ride. Probably a few months. But I'm thirsting for some new ideas, as I noticed, this is a good thing, but I noticed during my opening, when I was explaining my ideas over and over again, that I would like to say some new things and make some new connections. So, option number 1. Option number 2 I have not been putting off as long as I got this very recently. Viral Justice, How We Grow the World We Want, Ruha Benjamin. A true gift to our movements for justice. From the author of Race After Technology, an inspiring vision of how we can build a more just world, one small change at a time. Long before the pandemic, Ruha Benjamin was doing groundbreaking research on race, technology, and justice, focusing on big structural changes. But the twin plagues of COVID-19 and anti-Black police violence inspired her to rethink the importance of small individual actions. Viral Justice is a sweeping and personal exploration of how we can transform society through the choices we make every day. Benjamin vividly describes such problems as the chronic stress of racism, the trauma of police practices, and the inequities in education and healthcare, and profiles individuals and grassroots groups that are confronting them and making a difference. A passionate, hopeful, and practical vision of how small changes can help us grow a more just world, Viral Justice invites each of us to find and cultivate our plot. So as I read both of them out loud, because I feel like I've been in a science fiction mood forever, we'll start with it. I think we'll go with the Jameson, but we're not totally decided yet. And that's actually not true. I did have, I had a friend give me some really interesting new ideas earlier in that week. So it's not like I was repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again, but it kind of felt like it in the moment, over the course of a few hours. And I was like, maybe I just need... It's good to be strong in what you've been doing, but Now I'm looking at the notes again. Okay. Archaeologists and culture. And sometimes you just know your capacity and what can happen in the first few sentences. I like to take notes during, but I can just say the notes out loud for now, I guess. Sorry. Introduction. Utopia now. Also, yes, my hair's already up again after my haircut. I'm not so used to it being this short, but I do like it. It feels pretty but you have to be blushed up for the book club. Utopia has always been a political issue, an unusual destiny for... Sorry, I feel like sometimes I'm trying to read... Utopia has always been a political issue, an unusual destiny for a literary form. Yet just as the literary value... I'm struggling, sorry. I don't know what happened. Yet just as the literary value of the form is subject to permanent doubt, so also its political status is structurally ambiguous. The fluctuations of its historical context do nothing to resolve this variability, which is also not a matter of taste or individual judgment. During the Cold War, and in Eastern Europe immediately after its end, utopia had become a synonym for Stalinism and had come to designate a program which neglected human frailty and original sin and betrayed a will to uniformity and the ideal purity of a perfect system that always had to be imposed by force on its perfect and reluctant subjects. In a further development, Boris Groys had identified this domination of political form over matter with the imperatives of aesthetic modernism. Such counter-revolutionary analyses, no longer of much interest to the right since the collapse of the socialist countries, were then adopted by an anti-authoritarian left whose micropolitics embraced difference as a slogan and came to recognize its anti-state positions and the traditional anarchist critiques of Marxism as utopian, in exactly the centralizing and authoritarian sense. Paradoxically, the older Marxist traditions, drawing uncritical lessons from Marx and Engels' historical analyses of utopian socialism in the Communist Manifesto, and also following Bolshevik usage, denounced its utopian competition as lacking any conception of agency or political strategy, and characterized utopianism as an idealism deeply and structurally averse to the political as such. The relationship between utopia and the political, as well as questions about the practical political value of utopian thinking, and the identification between socialism and utopia very much continue to be unresolved topics today, when utopia seems to have recovered its vitality as a political slogan and a politically energizing perspective. Indeed, a whole new generation of the post-globalization left, one which subsumes remnants of the old left and the new left, along with those of a radical wing of social democracy and of first-world cultural minorities and third-world proletarianized peasants and landless or structurally unemployable masses, has more and more frequently been willing to adopt this slogan in a situation in which the discrediting of communist and socialist parties alike and the skepticism about traditional conceptions of revolution have cleared the discursive field. The consolidation of the emergent world market, for this is really what is at stake in so-called globalization, can eventually be expected to allow new forms of political agency to develop. In the meantime, to adopt Miss Thatcher's famous dictum, I don't know that word, there is no alternative to utopia, and late capitalism seems to have no natural enemies. The religious fundamentalists which resist American or Western imperialisms having by no means endorsed anti-capitalist positions. Yet it is not only the invincible universality of capitalism which is at issue. tirelessly undoing all the social gains made since the inception of the socialist and communist movements, repealing all the welfare measures, the safety net, the right to unionization, industrial and ecological regulatory laws, offering to privatize pensions, and indeed to dismantle whatever stands in the way of the free market all over the world. What is crippling is not the presence of an enemy, but rather the universal belief, not only that this tendency is irreversible, but that the historic alternatives... Am I going too fast? Oh, it got so dark. It got so dark so fast. Well, I feel like let me just finish that sentence. Well, I will say that this is going to take me a long time, based on what I've just read so far. But I'm sold on it, and it is. So I'll be doing check-ins, as this is part of my research for my NLF fellowship, which what are we now in our third week or second week? So this will be part of the research for this fellowship, and sorry, it's around 400 pages. So for this fellowship, I will give myself some deadlines to finish these things, and it got so dark. So I thought that would be it's a Sunday today, so I thought that would be a nice sort of like ease into force myself to start this new book to add to my new research, and sort of restart the next fellowship week nice and fresh and injected with some new thinking and ideas via Jameson. What else? This is my dream dress that exists. It's my favorite dress I've ever seen. It's the best thing in the world. But I could never justify, let's get ready for this, spending this much. So I just kind of stare at it in the tabs on my computer. And yes, I did have a lot of good conversations on Friday, and I was pretty happy overall about actually I did feel very strongly about that installation and project, and now I'm sort of nonstop thinking about the I had to stop to say the campiness of love in relation to my practice. Campiness might not be the best word for it, but it does feel that way when you see me using these big golden vinyl stickers and then embellishing things in a royalty and love kind of way. There are better ways to say that, but so maybe I'll talk a little bit more throughout the week as I understand this better, and then as I have more conversations about the project, and as I get deeper in the NL Fellowship. So thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing sorry, that's about the noises, but thank you for choosing this one with me.